is primarily Black. There's a substantial Hispanic minority. There's an income cap for families. So above a certain income, you're not allowed to attend. And so, while I totally hear the concern about excluding schools, public schools, right? Like, this is not that type of situation exactly. And I will also say, B, that having sat in on a substantial number of the community meetings, this whole conversation grew out of, at least in the community meetings, this like very persistent concern amongst community members that we would unintentionally change the PUD in a way that allowed something besides exactly what the Civic Association was voting in support of, which is not how the zoning code works, but is how PUDs work.
Right. I'm going to go to the Vice Chair.
So thank you, Mr. Chair. My concern is that this is a clear example of why we rely on the law department for form and legal sufficiency, and especially the legal sufficiency part. And we just gave them the amendment, and I'm sure they're going to need more time to research and make sure that this piece is a good piece to work with. So I just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you. I want to proceed with the rest of the hearing.
Sure.
I want to take our agency reports. I want to take our public testimony on this. And then might want to recess it and come back to it before the end of our committee session here, after a little bit of further discussion.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other questions about the bill or the amendments? Anything? Okay, great. Thanks. Sorry, I've got too many things in front of me. Agency reports. Let's go to the law department. Law department.
Desiree Lucky on behalf of the law department. As we've just received the amendments, we'll definitely want to take time to research before we can approve the bill for form and legal sufficiency.
Okay, thanks. Planning Commission.
Good morning again. This was reviewed by the Planning Commission in their meeting of August 7th, and they recommend favorable for the bill. And to answer some of Councilman Parker's questions, just in case it wasn't clear, with plan unit developments, as part of the transition rules, when the 2017 comprehensive rezoning of the city was done, the transition rules basically said that existing plan unit developments are more or less frozen in time, and then it provided some procedures for minor and major changes to that. The intention at the time was to allow that to stay, and that if there's a major change that was needed, that it would need to be repealed and replaced so that it could be recast in the language of today's zoning code. That was an amendment that was removed. So there are ways that you can amend PUDs and still keep alive the old language of the prior zoning code. And this is one of those instances. So it's using those original land uses. So I think that is something that can be done in this bill. So that's just a little bit on the technicalities of it. With that, we were aware of the amendment and have no objection to that. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Housing Community Development.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jason Wright, representing DHCD. We did not get a chance to review this amendment. We did submit a bill report, but we would like to review the amendment in the context of the broader bill if possible.
Okay. Any questions from the committee for any of our agencies? Okay, there being none, we'll go on to public testimony. Caroline?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg, Martin, Greenberg, on behalf of the applicant. I'm joined by Scott Slauson, who's a representative of the development team. I want to thank Councilman Blanchard for his work on this. I know this has been a complicated process. This is, we haven't done a lot of PUD amendments under the new code. We haven't had to because Transform Baltimore has been so much more modern in terms of zoning codes from what we had before. These don't come up nearly as often as they used to. The purpose of this PUD amendment came out of the desire to find a new location for Cristo Rey Jesuit High School. They are located right now over by Patterson Park. They're looking for a new home. They've outgrown their space. And the property known as the Clear Building in Locust Point, it was part of what used to be the Tide Point campus and has most recently been the Under Armour headquarters. Was identified as a potential great location for them. They have about 350 students. It's a perfect size. The building is a great opportunity for adaptive reuse, actually. It was an old warehouse, and that warehouse has been sort of repurposed for a parking garage. Under the PUD, it was contemplated to be a 138,000 square foot office building with about 530 parking spaces. So, when you take the proposed 350 kids at the school compared to a 138,000 square foot office building and 500 plus cars, it's a much less intense use in the neighborhood than what was contemplated there under the PUD. But when we looked at the PUD, we realized that the PUD prohibits schools. It prohibits all schools. It prohibits elementary schools, secondary schools, public schools, private schools. No schools are allowed in the PUD, which is ironic because the underlying IMU1 zoning would allow schools. So, we realized we were going to have to amend the PUD, and so we've now taken the opportunity to sort of clean up a couple of other things as part of this bill, in addition to permitting the schools. And as Councilman Parker just recently discussed with Councilman Blanchard, it's a little bit confusing because this is a PUD amendment and then there are amendments to the amendment that are proposed. So, just sort of following along, sort of a lot to digest. And I don't know where the disconnect occurred that the amendments weren't submitted to the committee in advance. So I'm going to try to walk through the whole thing with the committee and try to help make sense of what exactly is proposed. So in the PUD amendment bill, as introduced, we struck the prohibitions on the two types of schools, or really maybe four types of schools: elementary and secondary, public and private. And one of the things we heard back from the community was that's too broad. We want to be careful about what we're approving here. We want to approve Cristo Rey, but we don't want to broadly open the door for something that we haven't considered. So when we came back to them with some proposed amendments, the proposed amendments to the amendment do a couple of things. They clarify that it's private high schools that are going to be permitted, and the language of the amendment that was prepared by DLR is not, I understand why it's done this way and it's legally sufficient and correct. It's just they're reacting to a list of prohibited uses and figuring out how to make permitted what we're looking for is just sort of awkwardly worded. One of the other amendments to the amendment is the addition of the substitution of a new development plan sheet to the PUD that specifies where the school can go, because the community wanted to be sure that we weren't broadly approving a school anywhere in the PUD, but that the school would be located on this Clear Building site. So that's shown on the development plan to the PUD. And what's also shown is that there were townhouses proposed on part of that Clear Building site. We're now saying those can be, if it's not going to be those townhouses, it can only be a school or those townhouses, that's it. Flipping back to the original bill as proposed, one of the other things that we changed was there was a provision in the original PUD that said part of our Clear Building site, known as areas A and B, could only be used for residential use. Now that's part of the school site, so we had to amend that so that A and B can be school or residential, but C and D, which were part of that same section of the PUD, they're still only residential, and that's where the change to the number of units is relevant. And the amendment to the amendment addresses the mathematical arithmetic error in subtracting the number of units that would remain in those parcels C and D. And then finally, the last thing was that the old PUD, for reasons that are not entirely clear, prohibited access on the south side of the Clear Building site, vehicular access, and we sort of went back and forth with the community about what exactly that means. And I think what we think what it means is that there were supposed to be townhouses on the south side of the site and then the office building and the parking garage. And we think that the intent was not to allow cars to drive through the townhouse development to get to the parking garage. So we've proposed language that would clarify that, and DLR sort of adjusted what we had originally proposed to make it a little bit clearer that we're saying that it's not going to be, vehicular access is not going to be allowed specifically from Beeson Street and Halbert Street into areas E and 7, which are the cheer building site, rather than prohibiting all vehicular access altogether. So there is, as I said, there is the bill, which is a PUD amendment, and the amendment to the amendment, which makes this even more confusing. As a legal matter, the council is required to make certain findings of fact in approving a PUD amendment. I had prepared written findings of facts, which we presented to the Planning Commission. I'll tell you, under the new zoning code, there are a lot more findings that are required to be made than the old code required. And so, hang on, I think I have another copy of this up here. I'm gonna hold on to one of these. These are the draft findings of fact we presented to the Planning Commission. At the Planning Commission, I went through them all one by one. It's 6 pages long. It took about half an hour. I can do it here if you'd like me to, but I would otherwise proffer that the committee can review the findings of fact and adopt the proposed findings of fact that we've submitted, if that's acceptable. Otherwise, I'm happy to walk through them. It's just that there's a lot of them. They get repetitive. It will take a little while, and I know that there are a number of other things on the committee's agenda.
Yes. I did intend to have this as the last thing on our agenda, but had to change things up here on the fly because I knew that this one would take a little longer than others. I would like to come back to this.
Okay.
But I will finish calling here for Scott Slauson. If you want to testify, you check the box to testify?
Oh, I don't
No?
I don't think you
Okay, great.
Oh, but I do want to address just briefly the issue about the public school versus private school, if that's okay. The intent with the community was that they wanted to limit the PUD amendment to exactly what had been proposed. And in that case, we limited it geographically in the change to the development plan to show only the location in the PUD where the school could be permitted, and to specify the type of school that we were permitting, which is a private high school. The intent isn't necessarily to exclude any other type of school. They just want to make sure that what they're approving here is the private high school. I can tell you as a practical matter, it's way too small a site for a public school. It only has 350 kids. It's never going to be a public school. So, it may be sort of much ado about nothing. As a private school, it works nicely, but it's a small site.
I think if the size of the property makes it a moot point, then it's a little less unsightly if we just say it means nothing if we allow it then.
Right.
So in any case, I want to come back to this. We're going to recess this hearing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go through the other bills, and then I'm going to take a brief recess from the committee. We'll have a little further discussion about what we do, and then we'll close things out after that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Council Bill 25-0083, RPP Area 30, exception 15 East West Street. Councilman Blanchard.
All right, so similar to the earlier bill, this is a conditional use conversion. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The property in question, 15 East West Street in Federal Hill, this is the property owner is working to do a conditional use conversion from 1 unit to 2 of residential. And there was, within the last couple years in that neighborhood association's boundaries, they struck a deal with a previous property owner seeking to go from 1 unit to 3, where they would require off-street parking, and then they would have that property would not be allowed to have extra spaces in the RPP. So this was an agreement struck between basically the neighborhood association went to this property owner, asked for the same thing. Property owner said, yep, totally works. And so that's what this agreement is for.
Cool, and there is an amendment in the packet here. Do you want to explain that amendment?
Hang on, sorry, it's been a couple months. I do not recall.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is from the parking authority. I will let them speak to it. My bad.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
did-
Yeah, sorry, it was a couple months ago when this
I got
conversation came
you.
up.
Sorry, my mistake here. Great. Any questions for the sponsor before we go to agency reports? Okay, great. Thank you. Law Department.
Thank you, Chair Dorsey. Jeff Hochsteller with the Law Department. The Law Department can approve this bill for forming legal sufficiency and has also reviewed Parking's amendment and is fine with it.
Great, thank you. Department of Finance.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Gabriel Stewart-Zykowitz here for the Department of Finance. I'm a legislative liaison. Our report is we do not oppose. Instead of receiving the standard allotment per unit, this bill would limit a total of 4 residential parking permits and 1 shared permit, visitor's permit, reducing the maximum permits that can be issued to this address by 4 and 1 visitor permit. This bill is just focusing on 1 property. There's no capital investment or any other expenditure, and the maximum revenue deferred by this legislation would be about $100 a year.
Great, thank you. Do not oppose, huh? It says do not oppose, yeah? Your report.
Correct.
Okay, great. Parking Authority, and you'll let us know about your amendment also. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Christmas Age Parking Authority of Baltimore City. So our report is favorable with amendment.
Can you pull that microphone a little bit closer?
Sure, sorry. Christmas Age Parking Authority, our bill report is favorable with amendment. The amendment is because of a management issue. The one currently in Area 30, RPP Area 30, which this parcel is within, every dwelling unit is eligible for 4 vehicle permits and 1 visitor permit. And this would reduce that number for each dwelling unit. Each dwelling unit at 15 East West Street would only get 2 vehicle permits per dwelling unit. So the total parcel would only get 4 vehicle permits. And the existing bill says the visitor pass, 1 visitor pass would be shared between the 2 dwelling units. And the Parking Authority believes that that would be a managerial difficulty for the Parking Authority to determine which dwelling unit gets the visitor permit. If that permit were lost, the visitor permit were lost, either dwelling unit couldn't get a new one until the renewal period. It might put us in a difficult position of having to deal with that situation. So our amendment is to change page 2, lines 10 to 11, to read each of the 2 dwelling units may be issued 1 visitor permit. So each dwelling unit would be eligible for 1 visitor permit.
Great, thank you. Department of Planning.
Planning recommends favorable. This is an operational concern, so we defer to Parking Authority.
Great, thank you. Any questions for any of the agencies on their reports? Go ahead, Councilman Gray.
This is for parking. Could you just go through just some of the headaches that would probably come about trying to facilitate who's going to get the parking permit? How would you guys be able to intervene if this were to pass?
That's a good question, Council Member. I believe we're not in this situation currently where we have to determine which dwelling unit would be issued the visitor permit. This would be the first time we would be asked to determine on one parcel, there's 2 dwelling units. We'd have to decide which dwelling unit gets the visitor permit each year. We would be put in that position. So it's not clear how that would work out, and if there would be a difficulty if there was one choice made and the other party said we weren't involved or we weren't able to state our case. It just seems it's a managerial issue.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, as was explained to me, basically, Parking Authority would either be in this position of deciding Unit 1 can get the parking pass or Unit 2, but sorry, we can't issue, and how would they decide which one? And then also, Or if they were just like, we're going to issue one parking pass to the building, and units 1 and 2 can fight amongst themselves who gets to wield it for their guest on any given day, and what happens on a day when both have guests. They just have an impractical thing there, and so this fixes that practical condition. Anything else for the agencies? Okay, great. And do we have any public testimony on this bill? We have nobody here for public testimony on this bill. And so is there a motion to adopt the amendment from the Parking Authority?
So moved.
Great. All in favor of approving the amendment from the Parking Authority, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Abstain? Great. The committee will recommend that this amendment be approved. Is there a motion to recommend the bill favorable with the amendment?
So moved.
Great. The bill is moved to be favorable with the amendment. Julianne, let's call the roll.
Dorsey?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Parker? Yes. Wright? Bullock?
Yes.
The bill will be recommended favorable with amendment at the next city council meeting on Monday. Okay. We will go to Councilman Bullock's bills now. Thank you, Councilman Blanchard. We will call up bill number 250072, zoning conditional use conversion of single-family dwelling units to 2 dwelling units each in the R8 zoning district, 1703 and 1709 Edmondson Avenue, sponsored Councilman Bullock. Just give us a few words about the bill. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and colleagues. Pretty straightforward bill. As you know, I do several of these almost every council meeting. But again, these are pretty straightforward residential conversions on Edmondson Avenue. Again, it has community support and has been heard by the planning committee. So again, planning commission, I should say. So I appreciate any questions and look forward to a favorable disposition.
Great, thank you. This is straightforward conditional use. There are no variances or anything required. Any questions for the sponsor? There are none. We will go to agency reports. Law Department.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Michelle Toth on behalf of the City Solicitor's Office, and we approve the bill for form and legal sufficiency.
Great, thank you. Where is my thing? Why is this? Oh, sorry. Planning Commission.
Now, the Planning Commission reviewed this bill in their meeting of June 26th and recommended favorable, and just note that the parking variance that was initially included is no longer required since the base zoning code removed that requirement. So you can proceed with just the conditional use.
Great, thank you. And Housing Community Development.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jason Wright, representing DHCD. We stand behind our favorable bill report.
Great. Any questions for any of our agencies? None. We have no amendments for this bill. We will, is there any public testimony for this bill? There is nobody here to give public testimony on this bill. Is there a motion to approve the bill favorable?
So moved.
The bill has been moved favorable. We'll take a roll call vote.
Dorsey?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes.
Parker? Yes. Grant? Yes. Bullock? Yes. Blanchard?
Yes.
The bill is voted favorable and will be recommended as such to the full city council at its next meeting on Monday. Next Bullock bill here, we have zoning, bill number 250092, zoning conditional use conversion to a banquet hall in the C2 zoning district, variance 1123 West Baltimore Street. Councilman, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and colleagues. This one is a little bit different than my usual bills, but it's one that has a lot of community support. The applicant and his wife, they both, as a team, reached out to our office. They are looking to have a banquet hall in a space that's really being underutilized, but is also on the rise in our community and providing some great options for folks to have events within the community. So again, would appreciate your support and favorable to this position. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Can you help us put something on the record about the variance here?
Sure.
Just something, anything. We have a variance for the parking here. We will, I'll ask Planning Commission.
I'll just say there's plenty of on-street parking, but I'll let Planning Commission do it.
We'll hold off on that. We do want to put something on the record as finding of facts for that. No questions for the sponsor? Great. We will go to our agency reports. We'll start with the Law Department.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Michelle Toth on behalf of the Law Department. We approve for form and legal sufficiency, and actually I was going to say there's a variance requested for parking, but apparently the planning commissioner granted an exemption from off-street parking requirements due to the age of the building, the fact that no parking had previously been offered, and the fact that the building takes up the whole lot, so there is no room for off-street parking. So I was going to say that the council should find facts that this exemption has in fact been granted.
Administratively?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Planning Commission.
This bill was reviewed by the Planning Commission in their meeting of September 18th, and yes, this is one of those instances where in the zoning code 16601F, there's a provision for structures that are 50 years old. So if you're a structure 50 years old, or for structures that have received a historic tax credit, they can be exempted from the parking requirements subject to the review and approval by the Director of Planning. Historically, the Director has not wanted to wade into that where there are other hearing matters at play, but seeing the trajectory of where we're going, and this building was built in 1915, has never provided parking. Just looking at the conditions of the surrounding area, immediately behind it is a paved parking lot that appeared, looking at historic aerials, somewhere between 1971 and 1981. The buildings that were there disappeared, and the parking lot has been in operation serving this commercial corridor since. Given lack of any objection, it was determined to be acceptable to exempt the parking requirement, and so there is no variance needed here.
Great, thank you. Department of Housing, Community Development.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jason Wright, representing DHCD. We respectfully stand behind our favorable bill report.
Great, thank you. Any questions for any of these agencies?
Just a general question.
Madam Vice Chair.
Is the name of the hall Little Miss Butterfly?
That is the name of her event planning company. I'm not sure if that's going to be the actual name of the event space, but that is the name they've been doing business under.
Just unique name.
It is, and they do some great work apparently. So.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And is there anybody here to give public testimony on this bill? I don't think so. Okay, great. There's nobody here to give public testimony on this bill. Yes, Councilman Parker.
Thank you. I really appreciate this project coming for us. Do we have some sense, I looked through the different reports from planning elsewhere, do we have some sense of what the capacity at build out, what we expect the fire rated capacity of the banquet hall space will be?
We don't have that, no, and this is always one of the tricks because the fire capacity is one of the last things that is determined before, I believe, a UNO. I'm not sure if our fire officers are still here. I think they had to go. So that's always left at the last minute. So trying to determine what the parking requirement may have been anyway is anyone's guess, but it's a bit of a moot point.
And I do note this is